How's it going, everybody? We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Not been live in a couple months. It's been a while. It's been a while, but season's around the corner, man. Want to do this for y'all probably once a week. Come out here and do live streams. I was thinking instead of just coming out here and doing just random streams, might as well come out here and do film breakdowns as well for you guys. That would make a lot of sense too. After games, so that's probably the plan when season starts. We'll do our regular videos throughout the week, whatever, and then we'll break film down live. So today, before we get started into everything, just kind of want to break down what we're going to do today. We're going to touch on the 53-man roster, kind of the biggest, what's the right word? Not question marks, but biggest battles heading into last game of preseason. That should not take too long there. And then we'll obviously touch on some film, some cut ups. Before we get started, let's get to the chat. Let's get a couple people in here. What up, man? How y'all doing? It's been a while since we've been here on live. So we're back. We're back. So let's get a couple more people in here before we get started. But we're going to start off with touching on the 53-man roster. Okay, so before we get into the individual positions, because obviously that's kind of what we're going to touch on today, is the individual battles at each position. If it's first stringers, second stringers, whatever, just touch on the biggest battles, right? There's a lot. All right, there's a lot. I think this is probably the deepest roster we've had in the Dave Canales era by far in terms of all the battles that we have right now heading into the final week of preseason. It's pretty crazy how many battles we actually do have right now. Not just the first stringers, as I mentioned, it's going to be also second stringers as well that are on a battle, as Dave Canales mentioned, at that linebacker position as well with Trevon Wallace and Claudin Sherrillis. So there's a lot of key position battles at the moment heading into last game of preseason, and I'm very excited to drop my final prediction on this roster because there's so many guys that could make it, right? Especially at that one position on offense, at receiver. So many guys that could end up making the roster. So it's kind of hard to say today. But again, there's key positions at the moment that are in key battles. But the entire roster, as we know, quarterback position, are we going to keep two? Are we going to keep three? That's obviously a major question mark there. Haynes King injury right now. Kenny Pickett's looked pretty decent actually at quarterback so far in preseason. So that's something to keep an eye on there. At quarterback, are we going to keep three potentially? That's not something that we've done the last couple of years, obviously. And then running back, we're definitely keeping three running backs. I don't think we'll keep four just at that position. Trevor Etienne, AJ Dillon, I think it's very close there as well at a position, at the running back position. Receiver, we're going to touch on that as a whole here in a second. I don't want to touch on receiver too much right now because that is obviously a huge battle at the moment. But receivers definitely one. Offensive line, I don't think there's really too much of a battle at line. I think center with Luke Fortner and Sam Hecht. I think obviously Luke Fortner has the starting job right now. For sure. But that's really the only thing that you can really mention there in terms of what battles we have at the offensive line position. And then defensively, still, there's not a lot of battles on defense. If you have battles on defense, is really more towards the depth purposes. Now, starting linebacker, right? Devin Lloyd's our starting linebacker. The other one next to him is going to be either Trevon Wallace or Claudin Sherrillis as a second linebacker position next to Devin Lloyd. So that is definitely going to be a huge position battle, right? Obviously next to Devin Lloyd. And I don't know who's on pace right now to win that battle, but it's going to be fun to see this last game and kind of see. They're both making a roster, and I could very well see us kind of them next to Devin Lloyd, but that's something to keep an eye on there as well at linebacker. And then cornerback, it's nothing really too much. Corey Thorne and Shaw Smith-Wade, I thought was a battle heading into camp, but Shaw Smith-Wade has completely outplayed Corey Thorne. I don't think that's a question mark at the moment in terms of the corner position. And then safety is Akeet Wheatley's been a baller at safety, a baller so far in preseason and training camp. He's been making plays, man. You can argue he's been the best rookie so far in training camp and the offseason. So, yeah. It's kind of where I'm at there with that. But let's kind of start off with the biggest battles. First, let me get to this. Positions of need, middle linebacker, corner, guard, depth. I agree, man. Middle linebacker. Obviously, we have Devin Lloyd. It's tough for middle linebacker because Trevon Wallace has all the tools and the traits to be a great linebacker in the NFL. We've seen it out of Kentucky. That's why we drafted him in the third round 2 years ago, because we know he had the tools and traits to be a good linebacker. He's just not putting it together on all fronts right now, right? And I really think there's a case where this staff could value Claudin's experience, his veteran presence. I really think we've seen the staff go that route a lot of times so far in the past couple years, obviously at certain key positions. So when it comes to that battle, talking about Claudin and Trevor Wallace first, is kind of get that up really quickly. Um, First, kind of touch on that real quick in terms of linebacker. But when we're talking about linebacker, y'all, okay, this is a big one. Okay, we know Devin Lloyd is going to be the starting middle linebacker. It's just about who's going to be the second one with Claudin and Trevon Wallace. That's going to be the most important question now at that position. But again, you have two different guys. Literally, these are two different players. One has all the tools and traits with Trevon Wallace. He's younger. If you want to bank on that, him being a full-time starter next to a guy like Devin Lloyd, could that help him out a lot? Possibly. Okay, possibly. I do think a guy like Clone Sherrillis as well. I think he's had a pretty solid preseason and camp so far in terms of intel and stuff like that. What we've heard as a fan base, we've really seen him play in preseason. However, though, that's been the biggest kind of thing that we've been able to see Claudin and Trevon play. And I think overall, Claudin has been the better middle linebacker from a game 1 to game 3. Trevon has gotten better from game 1 to 3. However, right? I think last game against the I forgot the Jags. Sorry, I keep forgetting who we play. I think the Jags, he had a pretty good game from the 3 to 4 minutes of the cut up that he's had at middle linebacker against the Jaguars. I think he had a pretty solid game. Okay. There's still some plays where coverage wise, I'm going to break the film down obviously here in a second once we kind of touch on the position battles, but hit in the red zone, man, he's still overplaying. His eyes are too focused on the quarterback a lot of times, and he's just overplaying his zone. There's a couple clips against the Jags, man, where it's like if Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback on this play, he's absolutely ripping the middle of the field because Trevon Wallace did not play his zone correctly, or he overplayed a zone, right? And just drifted too far back. That was a big thing in man coverage, or not man coverage, just that was the biggest thing in the red zone, in zone coverage with Trevon Wallace against the Jaguars. But game-to-game basis, man, I think you can argue either or, man. Claudin's going to be, I think, a down-to-down better player than Trevon Wallace this year. But if you want to just bank on the upside, give one more season to Trevon, I don't think there's any harm in that, right? Because Trevon Wallace is younger. He has the tools. He has the traits. I don't think there's really a problem or an issue with going with him for one more year. Yes, has he done enough for me to be confident in him coming in and being a starter full time? I'm still not confident in that. But if you want to bank on that and you have a really good number one now with Devin Lloyd, and you want to trust that he can come in and be a solid number 2 next to him, fine. But Clone Sherrillis, I really think has the edge right now. I'm to be completely honest with you, are a neck and neck. Dave Canales said again today in the presser after practice, he mentioned that this is still a very tight battle, right? Very tight battle at this position. So I don't know. This one, I don't know what I'm leaning. I'm probably leaning Claudin today, but it could change tomorrow, right? It could change tomorrow at any point. This is going to be a big preseason game for both Claudin and Trevon Wallace. Obviously, both are making the roster. I could very well see a possibility where they mix in rotation with both throughout the season. Very well could see that possibility. But I just, starting the season, I think Claudin's going to end up making the roster. It's probably my prediction right now, is Claudin's going to be the starter there at middle linebacker. That's the very first position battle I do want to touch on. Let me see what we have next for you guys. There's like 4 in here, and then we'll get into the film, obviously. Let me see. Okay, next is going to be wide receiver. It's a big one, okay? It's a big one. This is probably the biggest battle we have on the team, just because of the fact that there's about 8 guys that you could end up keeping on the roster. And I don't even know what I predict today. And this is the only position where like I couldn't give you a firm answer on what we're going to do. Obviously, I don't have any intel, so I'm not going to know specifically on what we're going to do there at any position. But When it comes to this position in terms of what I even want to do, I have no idea. Okay. Because obviously you have your core three, in my opinion, with T Mac, Coker, and Xavier Leggett. That's your core three. We know that's going to be your core three out receiver. After that, you could mix in so many other different guys in this room. Okay. And the first thing we have to consider is, are we keeping six guys? Are we keeping seven guys? I mean, that's a big question mark. I think we've kept seven guys in the Dave Canales era so far in his first two seasons, right? I think we've kept seven. So that is going to be a very important piece. But again, if we keep three quarterbacks or we keep an extra running back and keep an extra tight end, what are we going to do there at the receiver position? Because this is way too deep of a position for you to just overlook a lot of these guys, man. Like, there's too many good players in this room, and it's crazy to say because the last couple of years we've been horrendous past the first two guys in this room. But there's so much good depth in this room now. Like, in my opinion, if I had to lay it out today on what my top four would be, even five, I would go T Mac, Coker, XL, Jimmy Horn, and John Mechie. That would be my firm top five. And then after that, you can kind of do what you want there. Jasim Reed's going to give you the versatility. He can play pretty much every spot at receiver. He has the speed, the size. He has every part of his game. He can play the slot and the outside and play the X, right? Play the Z, whatever. He can play almost every different position at receiver, slot, and obviously the outside and the boundary. So if you want to bring versatility there, he would be your sixth guy. Bryson Tremaine gives you special teams ability. So are you going to keep Bryson Tremaine? Bryson Tremaine has had no hype so far this training camp and preseason. So even him, it's kind of like, do I trust that we're going to keep him on the roster? I feel like he's a guy that you could stash on the practice squad, right? I feel like he's probably the least likely to be picked up by any team just based off who's on a roster now, because he's not old, obviously. Jimmy Horn, Jasim Reed are younger. I'm pretty sure in age. I could be wrong about that. Please let me know if I'm wrong. I'll be glad to correct myself on that. But every one of these guys bring different skill sets. Jimmy Horn, I think I will be shocked with how Jimmy Horn's played this preseason in terms of special teams and in terms of just a receiver if he's not a lock right now. Even if he's just the fifth guy, sixth guy, no matter where he's placed, I will be shocked if he's not a lock at receiver. If we keep six, it's hard for me to see a guy like Bryson Tremaine to make the roster, just because of the fact that if he only brings special teams ability to this team, you only have six guys. You don't want your sixth guy to only give you that ability, and you have five guys deep in terms of actual receiver play, because then your depth, in my opinion, is not stacked enough, right? If we keep seven, I absolutely could see a guy like Bryson Tremaine making the roster because he would be that kind of extra piece. The special teams could give you a little bit there. We saw last year he was decent at receiver. He wasn't bad, but I don't think he gives you the upside as Jimmy Horn, John Mechie, Jasim Reed. David Moore's the guy we haven't talked about either. He's a guy that has experience with Dave Canales. So it's difficult to say right now who we're going to keep, but in terms of if I was the GM, right, if I was making the decision on the six guys that I'm keeping personally, it's going to be T-Mac, Coker, XL, Jimmy Horn, John Mechie, because he has that connection with Bryce. And then obviously you can pick between Jasim Reed and David Moore, in my opinion, as the last spot. I think I would go with Jasim Reed because he's younger and gives you more versatility. David Moore hasn't really done anything in preseason. But you have to factor that in, man. If we're keeping six guys, we have to cut two of these guys. If we keep six, we have to cut two of these guys, right? And who are you cutting? Are you cutting a guy that only gives you special teams ability with Bryson Tremaine, really, and has the lowest ceiling out of all these guys? Are you cutting David Moore, who has experience in this scheme with Dave Canales, has been with Dave Canales for a while now? Are you going to cut John Mechie, who has had a great preseason and a great camp so far, has that connection with Bryce Young? There's so many pros and cons with every single one of these guys at this position. I don't know what I'll do, right? Just me personally, right? Just me personally talking. I don't know what I would do at this position personally, but David Moore, Bryson, if you keep six, man, it's going to be hard for me to justify why you keep a Bryson Tremaine, because you need six. It was just, who are you going to cut? Who are you possibly going to cut if you end up doing that, right? So it's just difficult. It's difficult, but what it be, dog? Dang, I was getting ready to ask. Do you believe AJ Dillon should be moved up to RB3, or should we be using short down situations. Okay. I think running back was going to be the next position battle. So I think we're done with receiver, right? I don't know what we're doing with this position. It's very important, right? This last preseason game is going to really very important, right? Very important in terms of what we decide to do there at receiver. But in terms of running back, let's get this up real quick. Give me 1 second. But in terms of running back, we know that Jonathan Brooks and Chuba Hubbard are going to be your 1-2, right? That's a given. But after that, man, I think it's going to be up to Trevor Achan, or it's going to be up to obviously AJ Dillon to get that last spot. Okay. Are we going to keep four guys? Who knows? Right? Who knows? I don't think we're going to end up keeping four guys at running back because you don't need to do that. Personally, that just wastes a spot, especially when you have a really deep receiver room. I would rather keep 7 receivers and 3 running backs and 4 running backs and 6 receivers. I just would, right? But when it comes to the running back position, this is a very, very unique position to talk about when it comes to position battles, right? We know you're 1-2, right? But I feel like Trevor Achan definitely had a very good last game against the Jaguars in terms of running the ball. I think he has the edge to get the third spot just because he has special teams value, quote unquote. I think Jimmy Horn should be definitely the full-time guy in terms of returning the ball because he's shown a lot so far in preseason when it comes to returning the ball. Trevor Achan has not done really anything in his career so far being able to do that. But AJ Dillon, man, he's been a pretty good back for us too so far in preseason. But I do feel like, again, experience matters with Dave Canales. We've seen that multiple times when it comes to the final 53-man cut. We've seen that, that matters big time for Dave. AJ Dillon is new to this roster. He hasn't been too flashy, making too many big plays. I think Trevor Achan, he's definitely made bigger plays so far on the ground than AJ Dillon. Obviously, AJ Dillon, as he mentioned, was more of should he be our short down back when it comes to the running back room? Very well could be, right? But I do think Trevor Achan, because of his youth, his experience, brings somewhat of a special teams experience as well. I do think he's going to end up making the roster over AJ Dillon. If I had to pick today, I don't care. I think Trevor Achan has played pretty decent on the ground so far in preseason. Obviously, Hall of Fame game was not great, but the last 2 games he's done pretty well in terms of vision, explosiveness, everything there. I think you can value that over a guy like AJ Dillon, who's older. He has the experience, right? I was saying after the Hall of Fame game, I would like AJ Dillon to make the roster over Trevor Achan just because of what I saw, but it was too early to call. Right now, I feel like it's a lot easier to tell who I would go with, and all of us will go with because we're 3 games in, right? But yeah, when it comes to the running back position, man, it's another very deep room. Another very, very deep room. I think 4 guys you have, right? You have 4 guys that you could consider from. But I do think right now I would definitely lean at Trevor Achan over AJ Dillon when it comes to this position at the moment. Okay. But I do think you can make an argument, but I do think if it ended today, I think Dave Canales will probably lean at Trevor Achan over AJ Dillon personally. What up, Rock Jones? He says, I know who we cut. It comes better. Let me see. Who? No. I don't know, man. If it's a receiver position, man, I have no idea. I'm gonna be completely honest. That's just a position I can't tell you who I think we're cutting, right? It's just almost impossible to kind of tell at this point. But yeah. All right, next position that I'm gonna go over is gonna be tight end. It's a fun one, y'all, because we obviously went out and got ourselves Mr. Darren Waller, right? Mr. Darren Waller. And now it's going to come down to, are we going to keep 4 tight ends? I don't know. If we don't, someone's on the bubble, right? We know Darren Waller is most likely going to make the roster. I will be shocked if he doesn't at this point. Tommy Tremble, I'll also be shocked if he doesn't make the roster because, listen, guys, Tommy Tremble has the lowest ceiling out of a guy like Mitchell Evans, in my opinion, but he comes with a high floor, right? He's going to come in here, do his job, be Bryce's security blanket at times when needed. We saw that Falcons game. He was a big time factor, that big play. Tommy Tremble is going to make the roster. So you have your 2 there, right? Mitchell Evans, there's no way we cut Mitchell Evans. Absolutely no way we cut Mitchell Evans because he's a second-year player, right? And he showed flashes last year. That would be a very dumb decision by this front office if we decided to cut Mitchell Evans. So at this point, it's do we keep 4 tight ends and bring back Jatavion Sanders, or do we cut Jatavion Sanders, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now. Felipe Franks has had a good camp. I think our tight end room is too deep in terms of having too many guys for him to have a chance to make the roster, but he's had a pretty decent, his name has been called out a lot actually in terms of training camp and preseason at the tight end position. But when it comes to a battle, quote unquote, it's a matter of if we keep 4 guys at this position, right? Because I don't think Jatavion Sanders is necessarily gonna make the roster just because, or make the roster if we keep 3 guys, right? Because I just don't see how that's possible. If we keep 3 guys, there's no, just based off the trajectory in terms of how these guys will play. Tommy Trumbull, the high floor guy, I don't think we're cutting him. You've used him in many different sets and situations, personnel groupings, whatever. Last couple years, I don't think he's getting cut. Then you have Mitchell Evans, second-year player, completely doubt he gets cut because that would be a terrible decision. And then Darren Waller, he's probably our number 1, right, at some point next year. So I don't think those 3 guys are getting cut. It's not really a battle in this room. It's just kind of, if we keep 3 guys, JT's gone. And it sucks. Guys, it sucks that JT is on the bubble right now because he is so talented, right? In 24, before his head injury or his neck injury, man, he was so good. So good. He's definitely had the best flashes and best clips and best plays as a tight end in the last couple years in a Panthers uniform, right? Yes, mind you, it lasted a couple games, so it didn't last too long there, but he was still really impactful in 24 when Bryce came back until his injury, right? So, man, it sucks, but I mean, that's where we're at right now. I just don't think JT is in a good spot. I do think if I had to predict today, I'll probably guess we keep 4 guys. So I think I'm going to make a video on my final prediction of the 53-man roster. So I don't want to, give you any spoilers, but one of my spoilers, I do think that we're going to end up keeping 4 tight ends. I do. I don't know, man. But JT has not looked good at all in preseason at all, man. He just looks very unathletic, which isn't Jatavion Sanders because he's very athletic. So it sucks. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the tight ends. He said Zavala. Oh, yeah. I don't know if we're going to cut Chandler for depth purposes, but Chandler Zavala is not great. I think we can agree on that. But yeah. And then Sam Hecht and Luke Fortner. I think Luke Fortner is going to start the year with the starting center position. I do think he'll start there. Obviously, Shaw Smith-Wade has completely outplayed Corey Thornton so far this offseason, so I do think he's got that job locked up as well. I mean, yeah, there's not too much. Lee Hunter, Cam Jackson is going to be a sleeper this year, in my opinion, in terms of guys that can break out as well. If we're just talking the roster, Cam Jackson has had a very good offseason. Very, very, very good offseason. So I'm very excited about a guy like Cam Jackson to break out and become that player on the interior as well. I mean, yeah, man, there's a lot to look forward to kind of end this part of the show off, is kind of just talk on that. And there's a lot of position battles heading into the final preseason game, y'all. So I'm excited about that. But without further ado, let's head into the film, because there are 3 guys that I do want to break film down today. 4, that's the best way to put it. I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to start off with Pat Jones, okay? Because I got 3 cut-ups from this past game against the Jags. Let's just break them down. Have some fun. On stream real quick before we head out of here. Let me see. Get to this. What's up, Duffy? He said, Albert Reese had offensive tackle. Everyone is sleeping on him, but he was the highest rated player last game and has been playing great all preseason. Yeah, I agree, man. He was. I did notice he was the highest rated tackle from last game. It's just going to be interesting because, I mean, Icky might come back. Monroe Freeling, Taylor Moton there. It's going to be tough. Rasheed Walker, I haven't mentioned either. You already have a lot of guys on the line, right? So it's going to be tough. Like, it's going to be tough for the lower end guys to really make a case. But, I mean, let me count. Taylor Moton, Monroe, Rasheed Walker, Icky, That's 4. Damian Lewis, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 guys. Oh, and Sam Heck too. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult because again, the line you have a lot of good players there too, man. So, but yeah, Albert Reese is if he's a guy we bring back for like our ninth guy at line, whatever. I'll be happy. I'll be happy, man. I think you have some good players down at the bottom as well when you talk about the offensive line. So, I agree. I agree. Okay, let me get to sharing my screen really fast. Yeah, we'll be out of here in no time. Just kind of want to share some of this film really quickly with y'all. Me see if I can bring this over here. No, I can't. Okay, that's cool. Um, let me see. I think I'm good actually. Okay, cool. We'll do this. Let me see if y'all can see this. Can y'all see Pat Jones? Dang it, I can't. All right. Well, that does not help. Okay, perfect. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Um, so yeah, real quick, we'll just kind of break this down. Again, there's not too much that we're looking at when it comes to an edge rusher. We'll just break down all his plays. Only a minute 35 of film. Kind of break down how he played, man. I thought it was really good film. So far, Pat Jones has been pretty good so far. So first play off the edge, I thought he's had a good pressure. It was a quick throw, so nothing there, I think, from Pat. This play as well. And again, we know that he's an edge setter, right? So we know that's what he's going to really bring when it comes to this position. That's end around right there. Nothing he can do there as well. Off the edge. Here we go. Running play to the left. So far, hasn't really been able to make an impact the first 3 plays, as we can see. Send the receiver in motion. He runs his way, gets pressure on this play. It's a good play. It's a good play from Pat, right? He beats the left tackle inside. This is a screen pass, right? But I mean, still gets good pressure on this play, as we can see. So good play there. First actual play that he could make an impact on the edge there. So good job from Pat. But I think overall, man, preseason, he's been very solid off the edge for us. First pass rush play, decent swim move from Pat here. Obviously, he's playing against the backup left tackle, but Princeton's getting absolutely destroyed on this play. I want to look at this again on. Let's look at Princeton on this one. Gets absolutely stood up. I'm not worried about Princeton, man. He's had a back-to-back great games off the edge, so I'm pretty happy about that from our second-year pass rusher. See this next play from Pat Jones. Gets decent pressure there again. Hits the quarterback on that play. I mean, honestly, he's just out-talenting the backups here. I mean, as we should expect. Simply just uses power and speed there. Get some pressure. Still a catch there, but good job from Pat there. Haven't really seen any run plays here. They run his way. Could have got a tackle here. This is what we really want Pat Jones to be able to do, right? So stuff like this. They run his way, get off your tackle, man, and make this tackle, because if he does that, this is not a first down or a 10-yard play, right? So, but other than that, man, solid film so far when it comes to his all 22 from Pat Jones. It's a play action. He drops in coverage. They bootleg the other way. Has no ability to make a play here. Drops in coverage there as well. So yeah. That is all the film from Pat Jones. That's like one mediocre play, right? And that was obviously the run play where he gave up about 10 yards off the edge. But other than that, man, great film from Patrick Jones. We know he's going to start he's going to start next to Jalen Phillips to start the year, because he gives us that edge setting presence. And when you have a guy like Jalen Phillips who can rush the passer, Jared Vera is going to value a guy like that. That's why he wanted DJ Johnson so bad, right? Because he values an edge setter. He values an edge setter. No matter what, he'd prefer an edge setter over the greatest pass rusher of all time, because that's what he is as a coordinator, right? But that is what it is. I think Pat Jones is going to be really good this year. Before he got injured last year, he was really good. So I do think he's going to be pretty solid this year for us to start the season. And I think he'll start most of the year. But I do think him and Princely will rotate to start the year in certain situations. That I do think. Okay, let's get the next one up real quick. I do want to touch on Trevon Wallace's film. This is where we start talking, y'all, because Trevon Wallace, again, in a position battle. So this is going to matter. This is going to matter big time on what he does at linebacker, right? So this is the first play here. And again, at linebacker, there's more to look at than when we're talking about pass rusher, right? There's way more to look at when we're talking about a linebacker compared to a pass rusher, right? We all know this, but let's kind of touch on this real quick. First play here, in his spot, not a bad play. Here's a running play. They send a guy in motion. He comes here. It's end around. So not a bad play there from Trevon as well. Can't do too much there. Here's another running play from the Jags. They send a guy there. And again, in NFL scheme, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see one-on-one straight up, right? I mean, that's simply what you're going to see. One-on-one. And again, I think this is the play where we got the tackle. Yeah, where Trevor Moore got the tackle, right? In NFL scheme, this is what you're supposed to do, right? Supposed to, or sorry, this is how you play it. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. It's how you're supposed to play it. One-on-one, right? You're not really hitting gaps. It's just one-on-one type. You do your job. You get this guy, whatever. And then you send an extra guy off the edge, and then they come out and, like Mike Jackson right here, sending an extra guy off the edge so we can come out and get a potential TFL, right? So good job there from the play caller's perspective. But yeah, there's a passing play from the Jags. So we're looking at right here from Trevon. They bootleg here. He gets the screen. This is a screen pass. And he gets absolutely bullied, by the way. Gets pushed back like 20 yards off his spot and isn't able to do absolutely anything. So that was a bad play. Does his job here. This is going to be cover 4. And he reacts very fast on this play. This is what I like to see because, again, cover 4, kind of touch on this real quick. This is cover 4, right? You have your 4 deep high zones here. And then you have your kind of curl, hook, curl, or curl, and then your 2 flats, essentially, right? This is very good coverage. Very good coverage from, let me do this. Very good coverage from us. I think so. And then Trevon Wallace reacts very quickly off this because he realizes I have this flat and I have a tight end next to me. So now I have to make sure that I'm very smart with how I play this. He jumps on the tight end right away. It's an out route. He gets that covered. Good job from Trevon there. I think from that play, that's what I want to see, right? That's what I want to see. And then they send a blitz here. Gets pressure. Gets very good pressure. Mike Jackson, awful coverage. But let's give Trevon some credit on this play because he pushes the running back into his quarterback and gets solid pressure on that play, I think. Here's another running play here from Trevon. Takes the wrong gap there. I mean, let me see. Let me see what we're looking at real quick. Yeah. It's a bad gap because, look, I mean, this is tough to put on him because who is that? Whoever he is, he gets pushed back really badly, and there's no gap to really hit. So I don't blame that on Trevon at all. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't blame that on Trevon. Just wish he hit the gap, but there's no gap to hit, so I can't really blame that on him. Here's another passing play here. Plays this pretty decently. Obviously, he's known for not playing these bootleg actions pretty well. Gets faked out all the time on these, but covers 84 pretty well. Claude and Sherrillis. Let me see his play on here. Yeah. That's difficult to kind of see whose fault that was. Let me see. Yeah, he just looks. One thing's for certain, though. He looks lost in coverage. He looks lost in coverage. And then he's just locking eyes on the quarterback. And you guys will see it in the red zone when they get to the red zone. He locks his eyes in coverage way too much. Way too much. Let me see. She's another running play from Trevon. It's a good play here. Very good play here from Trevon. Takes the block. Hits the right gap. Was patient on here. The running back came to him, essentially. But he did a good job, man. Got off the block and made the tackle. That's what you want to see right there. That's what you want to see. You know, it's really good play because it's one-on-one here. One-on-one contact with Trevon. It's really rare that you see him fight and get off blocks. It's a really good tackle from Trevon Wallace right here. Really, really, really good tackle from Trevon there. Here's another running play. Goes the opposite way. It's not on him at all. Let's see. Okay. It's a good play. Honestly, he fought on this play, right? Tackle lays him out completely. I mean, I want to see him try to make a tackle here, but it's not a bad rep. Not a bad rep in terms of what we would think would be a bad rep. Lays him out, does his job. Still big run. Still big run. And here's the red zone plays I do want to kind of touch on. Look at it. He locks his eyes on the. No, actually, this is a good play. This is a good play in coverage because he keeps his eyes. Now, locking eyes on the quarterback isn't great, but this play right here, he doesn't do that, right? He doesn't do that. He stays in his zone, does not play too far back with it. So that's awesome whenever we're talking about it. Let me see. Let me run it back. But yeah, he has the middle zone, right? Plays back here. A lot of times what you'll see is he'll like either drift backwards because the quarterback's obviously looking this way, right? He's looking this way. So he either has him or he has the running back here, right? So he's either going to usually drift backwards or play a little bit too far up, and then he gives away one of these routes here, right? But he doesn't do that on this play. He stays firm on this and then comes out and knocks the ball away. The running back didn't do a great job. I think this play is where he doesn't do a good job because look at this. Like, this is just not a good play from Trevon at all, right? Like at all, because this is if Trevor Lawrence is quarterback right here, this is a touchdown. Because you can see you have your bunch 3 over here, you have your coverage over here, right? This is going to be an easy in route. Trevon Wallace, because the quarterback's looking to the right the whole time, he's going to slowly drift this way for no absolute reason. No absolute reason at all. He's just looking at the quarterback's eyes, so he just naturally drifts that way. If Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback, he looks at his reads and he takes the one-on-one shot here because obviously Trevor Moore is going to be on the running back. So you're going to have one-on-one with Mike Jackson and this receiver, right? One-on-one. Straight up one-on-one. Let's run it. I'll pause it at the time. Look at this. Pause here. If Trevor Lawrence is quarterback, this is a touchdown. Tell me this is not a touchdown, guys. This is a touchdown because your linebacker is drifting too far to the right. If he's here, more over here, look at this. Everyone's covered over here. There's no reason why you should be drifting that way, but he's drifting that way because he's just locking his eyes on the quarterback, right? But look, man, I'm telling you right now, if Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback on this play, this is an absolute dime because 19 beats Mike Jackson. Look at this. It's an easy throw. This is a touchdown. This is the matchup you want as a quarterback because your linebacker isn't staying over here and playing his zone, right? He's drifting to the right when he shouldn't be doing that, right? So that's the biggest thing I did notice when it came to the film from Trevor when I broke it down yesterday. It's like this guy's way too fixated on the quarterback size, and you can't be doing that, right? So this is the biggest no-no from the film yesterday. Other than that, wasn't too bad, but this is a dime. I'm telling you right now, if 14 is not the quarterback here, just locking his eyes on the right side of the field, this is an absolute dime to 19, and it's a touchdown, right? It's a touchdown. So I did want to break that down for you guys. First, we're almost done with the film here, but here we go. Another running play for Trevon on this. Plays that pretty well. Again, he's fighting toward that. I mean, it's a good rep. He's fighting towards his block here. He's fighting on his block. So it's a good rep. Hits a tight end. Tight end has a good block there. I'll be honest with you. Trevon, bit undersized, as we know, but decent rep there. Trevon can't really do too much there. Let's see. Another running play here. It's a good play from Trevon, man. It's two good run stops from Trevon here. Look at that. Completely evades the tackle, goes and makes a tackle, right? That's what we want to see, right? That's what you want to see from your talented linebacker, right? He hasn't put it together yet, but we know he's talented, right? Sorry, this one's very blurry, if you guys can see. In motion here, Trevon plays the right side of the field. It's a screen pass. Yeah, nothing you can do there in terms of impact. Snaps the ball, plays the right side. Good play there. Again, never out of position, really. Not really too much out of position. That red zone play was not good at all. That red zone play was not good at all. Like this play right here, in position, right? He's playing his zone perfectly, not drifting far back, looking at what's needed to be covered, gets that covered, and makes a pretty good play there. So it's just fixating on quarterback size just can't be done. Sorry, my lamp went out. I'm so sorry about that. So it's so very dark, I bet. But when it comes to Trevon, man, it's just locking his eyes on the quarterback, man. A lot of big plays are going to be happening this year if Trevon's a starting linebacker if he can't fix that habit, right? So yeah, man, it was fun. It was fun. So if you guys are new, make sure y'all subscribe because I'm going to be going live every week, breaking down film like this for you guys. And then we'll be making content every single week as well for you guys. So we'll be touching on, start making Hornets content as well. If you're a Hornets fan, go ahead and subscribe. Obviously, Panthers fans, season's here. So we're going to be making content twice a week when it comes to the Panthers. And I'm very excited for the consistency for you guys. So subscribe, like this live, and yeah, let me know what you guys want to see next in terms of content. I'd love to hear the thoughts there. But 53-man roster prediction coming out here shortly, y'all. So be on the lookout for that. Very excited for that. But yeah,